Good afternoon once again, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the World Racing League's second round of the season. We're in Sepang, and there's the provisional standings with Viper ahead after the first round. The qualifying result, it was wet, and Zenith grabbed pole with Albert's second position. Look at the dry times that I could have achieved there if it was dry. I felt like I could have got pole in the dry, but in the wet, I went for a really dry setup. Very low downforce for the race, and the trade-off was that I could only get third on the grid. So there we are, the Williams on pole, my championship rival from season 2. Again, looks like he's going to be a threat this season, and a new person for me to have as a challenger. That's Albert. I've never raced him prior to this league. And anyway, we're off, and Zenith not getting such a good start, at least on my screen, as both myself and the Red Bull get past him before the first turn, and then I don't see him. I do hear Viper mention that Zenith had gone off, and that's what appeared to be happening on my screen, because Zenith was not in the top 3 on my leaderboard at all during that first sequence. Viper making a good start, coming up to second, and then Albert overtaking him later on that lap. And you don't see Zenith anywhere in the top 4 there, but then all of a sudden he pops up in second position, so that whole first lap he was not visible to me, so any collision that happened at turn 1 I apologise for. But I could not see you, mate. Anyway, we stretch our legs a little bit with a couple of fastest laps in a row on laps 2 and 3, but ultimately as the tyres wear, Zenith seemed to have a bit more pace towards the end of the option stint, and I had to defend into turn 1 going to the inside. Wasn't too difficult really to defend because the DRS didn't seem to be quite powerful enough for him, so I had very low wings to get past if I just went to the inside. And on lap 8 we both pit, and I had made a bit more of a gap after that lunge he had there on the outside of turn 1, and I put the prime tyre on. And I note there that Zenith fell back a bit. I think he had to change his wing, losing a little piece of it. And importantly, he went onto the option tyre. And I caught up to Bungie and Cena, who were leading the race, having not pitted yet. But helping of DRS here. But Cena not obliged to let me through, as he's not a lap down or blue flags or anything. So he just held his ground, and with the DRS I wasn't able to make a move. And the prime's not caught up to heat yet. He still had primes as well. But the performance was still there for him. I could catch up, but I couldn't really affect the pass. Big lock up though on the 11th lap for him there, and I put it back to lean because there's no really real place to pass in this section here. But he goes a bit wide at the double right-hander, and I'm able to make a move down here into the left-hand hairpin. Just getting it pulled up in time, leaving him some space on the outside. There's a little bit of contact. I couldn't quite turn it as hard as I wanted to, but we are through. And then Bungie enters the pits, relinquishing the lead, and we have Zenith for company. He's caught up right up to the rear of our car during that battle with those two guys, and he's on the option tyre, so he should have a pace advantage here. And there you see, saw a glimpse there of the white banded medium tyre on the Williams. But I realised here all I had to do was just defend like this. This happened pretty much lap in, lap out, going to the right of the track, or at least the middle of the track to turn 1, not allowing any move other than the outside attempt by Zenith. And he wasn't really able to get around it despite the extra grip. And as I held him up, he didn't get past and get the gap he needed to make the prime stint at the end, which he indeed had to do. As I make a little bit of a mistake there and go wide, but there's not really enough space for him to come through again. So this is lap 16, and at the end of this lap you'll see that the dot on the map, Zenith enters the pits to get rid of two sets of options, and now he has to run the prime to the end for 13 laps. And 3 laps later I'm in for a set of options, so it looks very good for us. We might be undercut here by the Williams driver, but it certainly looks good to have a pace advantage and make a move for the lead. there he is. It's only just in front, so the undercut not really working fantastically. Well, maybe making up 2 seconds, maybe. And there he is. This is the outlap, and already right onto the gearbox. You see there the prime tyre, the orange marked compound there, and there's a bit of lateral lag there. He's had so much more grip though, and even in the dirty air we can follow really closely here. And he's gone a bit deep there, although there's a bit of lag, so I was a bit tentative through there. And so we're going to get DRS here. We're going to be able to make a move. He's covering the inside, smart move, and levitating a little bit. So we're going to go deep here and try and get the switchback to make a move. But bit of lag there, and it sort of bottled me up a little bit, so I'm not as close as I really wanted to be. He's going to make the same defensive move that I made. And it looks like my wings, you can tell that they're skinnier because I got far further alongside than he managed to do against me earlier in the race. But I don't know, there was a bit of contact there, probably lag that caused that, and I was unable to get through. But I was pretty confident that I could do it the next lap. And let's put it back to standard. As he defended this turn 4, didn't really think it was necessary. I wasn't really close enough, but he does outbrake himself, and I get through very easily. So that's the lead back, as I think it was Bungie relinquished the lead earlier that lap, pitting for the final time himself. And by the end of that lap we already have a 2.8 second advantage, and this lap 22 is in fact the fastest lap of the race, so I'll decide to put that in the footage. And you can see there that Bungie's 15 seconds back from Zenith at this point, but he's also on the option tyres like I am, so he'll be able to make a lot of margin on the British driver. Look at that, 3.4 seconds, so that's around 6/10 in just one sector. That's the difference between the options and primes, if you can get some clean air. And on the options, just flying the car quite nicely around this middle sector. A pleasure on new options, but horrible on worn tyres. And as we come through this sector split, we're 7/10 up on our previous lap. And where is Zenith? 4 seconds back now. So hugely falling back to 6/10 per sector. And this corner, a lot of people hate this corner. I quite like it actually. And off we go down these 2 long straights, which I use Rich for on most laps, defending from him, and also on this fastest lap. Not really any point in using Rich anywhere else on the lap, during the race at least, maybe in qualifying. And what's the lap time going to be? 38.1. I went to put my fuel mixture down there, but accidentally got the tyres. Look at that, 5.2, so that was actually a huge gain in the last sector, 1.2 again, so that's 2.4 seconds in one lap. And by the end of the race, that's blown out to 15 seconds, and in fact Bungie almost catching Zenith. So the tyre choice not favouring Zenith there, and Bungie making a good rally through the field as he was buried at one point. And we're lapping there the front row starter in Albert, not having a great race. I think he had a collision with Booker at this corner at one point. But anyway, first win of the season. In fact, almost a repeat of season 2.
Well done, well done.
Hopefully we can repeat the success we had of 3 wins in a row, starting at Malaysia in season 2, and continue that form in season 4. Anyway, I've been Jacko, guys, and I'll see you next time in Bahrain.